Hello and welcome back to the second in our four-part module looking at the topic of building teams. Having laid a biblical foundation for team ministry last time, in this and the next few videos we'll focus on the practicalities for how to build a team. Number one, developing leaders. The first step in building teams is to develop leaders. Developing leaders stems from discipling people. The topic of discipling and developing leaders was covered in another module in this series. I'll do a quick review of the steps in discipling people as a preliminary but vital building block to building teams. So how does a ministry leader develop people? Based on the model of Jesus with the 12, we note the following 9 steps in how to disciple leaders. Number one, by selecting prayerfully. The decision to choose who we will disciple should be made prayerfully. Number two, by inviting them. Ministry leaders should issue a clear, detailed invitation which includes the nature of the relationship and the process of discipleship, then allow them time to pray and decide for themselves. Thirdly, by doing life with them. Discipleship is not a program, but a life-on-life relationship. Therefore, we need to make ourselves transparent and accessible. Number 4, by showing and sending them to do ministry. Jesus modeled, then mobilized his disciples to do ministry. Likewise, we must show new leaders how to do ministry and leadership, then provide opportunities for them to serve. Number 5, by teaching and training them. As part of the training process, Jesus taught them about the kingdom and ministry. And hands-on ministry experience must be matched by active and creative training in whatever form or format is appropriate. Number 6, by being an example. Jesus exemplified what he was shaping them to be, and we must also recognize that our personal example is one of the foremost ways we are developing people. Number 7, by correcting them. At times, Jesus had to correct wrong attitudes, methods, and motives. And we too will need to bring correction and corrective teaching. Number 8, by loving them. Jesus demonstrated his love through identification, serving, and selfless sacrifice. Our love for those that we're developing is core to discipling people in an authentic way. Number 9, by praying for them. Jesus prayed for his disciples. Similarly, we need to pray regularly and specifically for the leaders we are developing. Jesus demonstrated that ministry leaders must likewise be faithful in discipling, giving time, giving themselves, and nurturing emerging leaders. Only after someone has been grounded in the faith and the basics of serving should they be considered for membership of a team or a position of leadership. Church consultant Sam Chand wrote, "Healthy teams recognize that a church is only as healthy as the pool of rising leaders, so they actively seek to discover those who show leadership potential, develop resources to equip and inspire leaders, and carefully deploy them in roles that inflame their hearts, challenge them to excel, and propel the church to new heights." Now, assuming that the ministry leader has a discipleship process in place within the local church or Christian organization, can the following steps be employed? Number 2, define the purpose of the team. Define the purpose of the team with great specificity. What exactly are they going to do? Having this clear in your own mind will help select the right team leader and team members. In this way also, the gifts of the leaders you choose should be consistent with the stated tasks or purpose of the team. Number 3, exercise clarity in the selection criteria of team members. Now that the purpose of the team has been defined, the next step is to select the team members of the team. It would be important to have selection criteria to ensure that the people you choose are appropriate and in some cases qualified to serve on the team. Now, you may have heard of the 3 C's in potential team members. I'll mention those and add 3 more C's to help you find appropriate people. A, character, which asks the question, can I trust you? A potential leader's inner life is a fundamental criterion to serve on a team as a leader. Character covers areas such as a leader's spirituality, their walk with the Lord, their discipline, integrity, reliability, honesty, teachability, work ethic, humility, habits, and patterns. B, competency, which asks the question, can you do the job? One key leader I heard suggested that potential team members must have strong, developed gifts in the area you were looking for. He encourages those making the decision to aim high. He goes on to warn against appointing someone as a compromise because there's no one else. On the contrary, he suggests taking a longer view and by waiting and developing the right person. One thing he particularly stressed is that the selection criteria is that character is more important than competency. Underpinning this statement is the belief that competencies can be learned, but character must be transformed. It is better to get people with right character who learn the relevant competencies than having competent people falling short in character. C, chemistry with other team members. This asks the question, can you fit in our culture? Another selection criterion is to consider whether the person fits with the other people on the team. Is the person relational and able to get on with people? Is there a sense of connection? Do they display a kindred spirit? Can they work well in a team environment? Or are there dysfunctional relational or personality issues? Let me add a further 3 to these first 3 well-known C's. D, capacity, which asks the question, can you grow with us? A fourth selection criterion is that a person has a capacity to develop personally and to grow with the ministry. Have they demonstrated growth in their own life and ministry to date? As best as you can determine, do they have the potential to grow as the ministry grows? Do they have a capacity to change? Can they lead other people through the processes of change? E, call, which asks the questions, are they called by God to lead? Are they called by God to serve in this ministry? Jesus prayed all night to seek the Father's choice of the final 12. These 12 men were chosen and called by God to serve on Jesus' team. The principle here for ministry leaders is to also seek the Lord to determine who they are prayerfully drawn to, who expresses or displays a sense of call to the area of service in which you're trying to find a team. And F, commitment, which asks the question, have they displayed commitment to the group, local church, or organization? So a sixth criterion for selection to a team would be the person's past and present commitment to the local church. Have they been faithfully attending the church? Have they been committed to the pastor and vision? Have they served in other areas of the church? Have they demonstrated a sense of community with other members of the church? Have they been in church long enough for you to observe their life and justify their inclusion on a team? Do they have a good reputation in the broader local church community? Applying these 6 criteria, you're more likely to find appropriate people with the skills or potential for the team. Now, please remember, it's rare that you'll find anyone who's perfect and ready to go. Look for these criteria in embryonic form, then develop them. Draw out their potential as Jesus did. Allow me to repeat something I said in an earlier module on the qualities and characteristics of leaders. When Jesus called his disciples, he said, I will make you fishers of men. Make is a process. It takes time. Were any of the disciples qualified to be leaders when they were called by Jesus? Absolutely not. But Jesus developed them. It took years to shape these young men on his team. We should do likewise. And this is why it's important that prayer undergirds everything so we can discern who has the potential to lead. It's equally important we commit ourselves to develop and nurture them. And that's it for part 2. We'll continue looking at some more practical keys for building teams next time. See you then. God bless.